Hello, welcome to Lime, ye limeys. Oh, okay. Well, session starts at 6:44, doesn't it? Or 6:45? 6:40. We're 7 minutes late, so Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still in Eastern Standard Time, 5:40. Welcome all, and to begin, we need a jabber scribe and we need a minute taker. And I promise both jobs will be very, very easy. And I will buy anyone dinner who will take the jobs. Okay, dinner and beer. Minutes? Okay. Dinner upstairs. And beer. Jabber scribe. And I probably end up buying you beer anyway. That's true. I never actually... How much money do I owe you, by the way? Oh, I paid them my debt. Okay. That means I need to borrow more. My name is Ron Bonica. This is Lime. If you mean to be somewhere else, please go there. But I hate to lose any more people because we have... This is the largest crowd that has ever attended any working group ever, period. We have photographs to prove it. Are you all familiar with the note well that you see at the beginning of every IETF meeting about IPR? Everything you say is a contribution to the IETF. If there's any IPR associated with it, please declare it. Okay, let's move right along and start with the chair's slides. Our charter can be found on our charter page. We've made good progress, and on this slide it says we will shut down by IETF 100. This may well be our last meeting because we're very close to success. Our status, we essentially have 3 documents in flight. All 3 have been through working group last call. They've all had some comments. We're going to review them today. We're going to go through what comments are outstanding. Many of the comments were from Greg Mirsky. We just had an online editing session with him. So he's resolved his comments. And it may well be that after this meeting, we can rev the documents one more time and send them to the IESG. If we can get all 3 documents published before we meet in the Czech Republic, we may be done. So if we can get all 3 documents completed, this is our last meeting. Oh, chairs will update milestones. This may be overtaken by events. If we get all 3 documents done, we're done. Our next steps. We do need to schedule a meeting with Carl Molenberg, the Yang doctor, immediately, because we can't publish before we do that. Authors, can I ask you to do that? Schedule a meeting with the Yang doctor. And you might have to, I don't think he's here this week, so you might have to be pretty aggressive about getting his time. If you don't get a meeting with him by the end of the week, ding me and I'll help get a meeting. Next thing is to submit IESG ready candidate versions to the IESG. And when that happens, they're published. When they're published, we're done. Work hard, be successful. So, let's start out, and we will talk about the connection-oriented. Yes, it should. Nope. Oh well.
Hello everyone, this is Michael from Huawei, and now I want to present the update of connection-oriented OEM unit module. Okay, since last IETF meeting, we have do a lot of work to push this work move forward, and we have working group last call, and during this working group last call, most people support to publish the document, but we also received some comments. To address these comments, we update the document. For example, we fix some ID needs and centralize terms and correct clerical errors. Also, add some text to explain, some text to improve this document's readability. Turn some description to avoid confusion, and also update the reference section. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is some detail for update, module update. First, we add two identity, one for connection, one for on-demand, another for practice. It can help the user to distinguish different OEM tools. And the second change, we modify the range of package size to 0 to 10,000. It can help the user to send smaller packet. Next slide. The last change in the model is we add a map list. It can help the user to explicit configuration the map. We defined this map list according to the G8052. The map list attribute includes interface attribute, interface address and the levels. We also defined the map feature to text this map list. Yeah. After we update the document, update the module and the document, or we send it to the working group, and then receive some feedback and comments. To address these comments, working group chair help us to hold an editor session in this afternoon. In this editor session, we authors and the working group chairs and the contributor of these comments. We work together to address these to address these comments items by items. Now we think we have addressed all of these comments. For example, we modify the remote RDI to RDI, and remove the misconnection defect. Also adopt this definition of practice and on-demand into the document. Also, and modify the global unique source map ID to some another terms to avoid confusion. Remove map MD level from the map list and is MD level into the CC and the traceroute RPCs. So we will prepare another version according to the editor session, and perhaps in this week or next week we can submit this document, the new document, and then maybe if no problems, if not new comments, maybe working group can help us to select ISG review. Here, I'd like to thank working group chair's hard work and all of contributor of this working group. It helped us to improve this document. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So I have a question for the group. I think that the right next steps for this draft are You guys will spin a new version in the next couple days, send it to the Yang doctors.
Yeah.
Once that's happened, I will post something to the working group asking the people who commented on the last version if they are now happy with this version. If the Yang doctors are happy and the people who commented on the last version are happy, I will be happy. We will send it to the IESG and we will make them happy. Does that sound fair to everyone? What's that? Making everyone happy? Oh, yeah. It would be good if we could do the Yang doctor review and the review by the people who commented last time simultaneously. So parallel, not pipeline. We'll do them in parallel. Okay, there'll be 2 parallel pipelines. Okay, this sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
So hi everybody, I am Deepak and giving
Don't go away, it's just getting good.
He has to present.
Okay, just kidding.
So I'm gonna give the update on the changes that has been done on the connectionless model and the method from the last IETF. So we have got a lot of comments on improving the quality and readability of the document and also to remove the confusion. So the model has been revved multiple times and actually all the comments are being and actually we have updated the applicability wiki for this model. Next slide. So we had fixed the ID nets, correct the clerical errors. There were confusion for certain sentences, make them more clear. And actually, we actually introduced difference between connection-oriented and connectionless model. Updated security, INA, and reference section. So these are more detail on what has been done. Basically, add CC in the terminology section. Changes again means add a paragraph to discuss proactive and on-demand OM tools. So we had stick to the extra definition that has been given to us. We added that. Remove any connection-oriented terms from connectionless model, and actually we changed the OPER container into CC OPER data container and modify the system ID to router ID. So for the connectionless methods model, again means we had fixed ID nets and sentences and all, and updated the reference and the security and INA consideration. But we also added the path traced info list under the respond list of path discovery. So working group has raised some issues. So we had a working session at 1 p.m. and we had tried to address, or at least we had addressed most of the comments, but there are some of the comments that require more rewording of the sentences, so that we will address it after the meeting. And we will produce a new draft. One thing that because of the Yang schema mount has been progressing well, now we can use the schema mount method to actually decouple the LIME connectionless model from other technology specific model. So and in future any other model comes in, those model can easily be fit by defining the right schema.
I have a question on that. I don't really, this is John Messenger. I don't really know how this works in IETF, but the schema mount, is it actually going to be standardized by the time you want to be finished?
I think I can answer that. The answer is probably not. So what would happen is we would create something called the cluster. We would be finished. We would go through IESG last call. IESG last call, IETF, but we could not publish until the document that we reference itself is published.
Adrian Farrell, world famous author. It's my affiliation in this working group. Yeah, so the answer to the first question is no, it's not going to be finished in time. It's reasonably mature, but it's not there. And then Ron is right, this document would make it all the way to the RFC editor queue, and then it would hang waiting for the reference.
Is that preferable to not using it? I mean, it seems very good to me to use schema mount.
Yeah, it does seem good to use schema mount.
But
there's not a rush to get an RFC number, so we can wait in the RFC editor queue.
Okay.
So I'll ask the question again to the working group. It seems like the right thing to do is exactly what we're doing for the connection-oriented draft. We'll ask for another version. We'll simultaneously take it to the Yang doctors and take it to the people who commented on the last version. If everyone's happy, it goes to It goes to the IESG. And if no one's happy, I won't be happy.
I had one other thought, which relates to the risk associated with being dependent on another draft.
Mm-hmm.
If it turns out that you make these changes and then this group basically dissolves, and then they do something that means you can't use schema mount exactly the way you've anticipated.
What we will do is keep the working group open, but not meet.
Right.
We will go dormant.
I think you would have to do that because there's always the risk that something might change.
Yeah, we'll just go dormant. I can see the people in the crowd going dormant already. This is the largest, this is the best attended IETF session ever, bar none. Yeah.
So
we have aerial photos to prove it.
I think next slide.
There is no next slide.
Oh, there's nothing. Okay. So our next step is to produce a new draft, send it to working group for more comments, and actually get asked comments from the young doctors, and they, after that, proceed further.
Relaying from Jabba.
Your name again, please.
No, I have no name. This is relaying from Jabba.
Oh, okay.
Is somebody called Carlos, and he says he will schedule calls with Carl Moberg for mid-doctor.
Young doctor,
mid-doctor. Young doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That said, I guess we could talk a little bit about the liaison. Carlos, do you want, well, let's see. Carlos, I'm going to push the button. Well, ask Carlos, would you like me to push the button so you can talk about the liaison? Answer on the Jabber room. Okay. Well, the long and short is we received the liaison. IEEE working on another Yang model, but it seems like the Yang models are progressing in parallel, so there's nothing we need to do. Yes.
That's why I turned up to this meeting. John Messenger, I'm vice chair of 802.1. So we received a communication from MEF that requested some cooperation on their Yang models for service OEM, both for fault management and performance management. I understand that their models are broken and they want them fixed. And 802.1 is intending to start work on Yang models for service OEM fault management. And we, perhaps just speaking personally, think that it might be appropriate if we got the ITU guys to do some work on the service OEM performance management stuff that relates to Y1731. So there will be active work going on in parallel, perhaps both for service OEM fault and performance management in various other SDOs.
Okay, but there's nothing in particular this working group has to do, or?
I think it would be fair to say that as we've already liaised with you, I mean, it may become pointless liaising with you in the future if you don't exist, but up until that point, I think we'll presumably keep you informed of what we're up to if something like that comes to fruition. I mean, the timescales that we're talking about with any project in IEEE 802.1 would typically be 18 months minimum, and we haven't started yet.
Yeah, in 18 months, I'm sure we won't be here.
Right.
So
the question then arises about dependency and maintenance of your documents here. How would you see that going in the future? I mean, is the LIME work sufficiently forward-looking that it won't require updates as things change, or not?
we're hoping that it can import other people's work. Other people can augment our models. But, you know, the skeleton that we offer probably shouldn't need much updating. If we ever do find it needs updating, it's like any other Yang model. We'd spin up a working group to do it, or do it in the ops area working group.
Right.
More likely,
right.
More likely, if it's just a small tweak, we'd do it in ops area working
Which
group.
would be, so I mean, I'm envisaging that when you're going to have new methods of augmenting an existing model coming along, there will be at some stage some kind of an industry best practice that notionally exists as to how the best way to put some of these things together is, and that will want to be written down somewhere. Is that a concept that exists?
Are you talking about like when a new technology comes in that has a new OAM mechanism?
Right. Well, I was more thinking of a case like this where there's a laissez-faire. Sorry, there's a state of the nation right now in terms of how service OAM, fault management, performance management is done. It's going to change, and then they'll. You were referring to using augment to incorporate new models. Well, it would be nice if the best way to do that were documented. And I don't know what the right environment for doing that is.
Is it? Looking at it, I kind of thought it was fairly intuitive as to how to augment the stock, augment the NROM.
So for connection oriented, it is to augment the document, but for connectionless with schema mount, because connectionless, the commonality is less. In that scenario, the schema mount, the new model can actually define new mount. Mount is already there in the abstracted term. If the new abstract term comes in, it can be moved to technology specific, or they can actually update this model. It depends on how they go by, but technology specific they can do, but still they will have a structure unless 2 or 3 of the new technology become common.
The method for augmenting is well understood, and it's documented in NetMod. And the mechanism for the mounting will be documented in the mount document. So there will be documentation, just not coming from line. Okay. Anything else between us and the bar? Okay, so we have some action items for the authors. We are not planning on meeting in the Czech Republic. We'll go dormant until the documents actually get RFC numbers, and that is basically until the mount stuff is done. I'd like to make one observation before we close. This working group has been around a good 2 years now. And I remember the first meeting we had was a very crowded room. A lot of people have gone because the excitement is gone, time has passed. One participant, I'm thinking in particular of one of the guys who was one of the founding fathers of the working group, Tom Taylor, has gone for a very different reason. So it might be a nice thing as we have our last meeting to remember him and maybe head to the bar for a good Canadian Molson beer. I suppose is what might well be the last meeting of the working group, and let's go find that Canadian beer. Thank you, Scribes, Jabber, everybody. Carlos, thank you. Benoit, if you're here. See you all later. The end. Where are the blue sheets? What was 80% of the meeting? The blue sheets?
I was just looking for.
Oh, he was here for 80% of the meeting. I thought you were the guy who cared the most about Lime. You were here for every meeting, all 2 years. You know, I've never shut down a working group before. Oh, you're right. I did. ARMD. I shut down ARMD. But I was the AD. I wasn't the working group chair. As a working group chair, I've never sat on the last. Well, I have a doc for another reason, for V6 ops. And someone's been texting me through this whole meeting. Check in for my United flight tomorrow. And a phone call from a guy I went to high school with.